Hi friends, David here from Learn Stage Lighting, and I'm peeking out from behind these two lights because today we want to take a look at the Gamma TX-6, and to do so, to review it really well and give you our honest opinion, we're going to compare it here to the Volux Spectra 300. Why? Well, the Spectra 300, it's no surprise, it's been our go-to for a few years now as a really awesome CMY mixing moving head LED spot type unit. It's got colors, Gobos, Prisms, and most importantly, CMY color mixing. Then this year, this guy came along. It's new from Gamma, and it is the new TX-6 450Z spot, I believe that's the full name. It's a 450 watt LED source and has basically the same types of feature set. It goes very narrow, it gets quite wide, it has that CMY color mixing, and that generally is the stuff we pay the most attention to. Other than that, they have a lot of similarities. The TX does have two prisms that are interchangeable, stackable, individually rotatable. The Spectra only has one. Other than that, they're very similar units. And so what I want to do is really compare the two both physically here, and then I want to sit them back there, shoot them through the air, and take a look at how they compare, give you my opinion on how the brightness compares to the eyes. Because there's a couple things that are going to go on here that I think are really important. Number one is why CMY color mixing. So in a spot moving head, there's really two ways to make color, right? There are what's called color wheels, and there's color mixing, okay? With color wheels, you get, 8 or 10 or 15 colors that you can choose from. And the transition between them is never going to be smooth. It's always and sometimes going through other colors. It's not a smooth transition when people are on stage. So when it's affordable, when you can afford it, I always advocate for CMY color mixing in moving head spots. It just makes them so much more versatile. But adding those 3 pieces of glass, 3 motors, and all that, it can really add a lot to the cost of a fixture. There's no doubt about that. And the Spectra is one that comes in at an unbelievable price for everything they pack into it. And so we want to compare it to the TX-6. There's another few things we're going to see, and it goes with the brightness. I haven't compared these two in brightness before. We're about to in a minute here. But with LEDs, as you get, for one, if you compare two fixtures and say they're both 300 watts, the manufacturer's spec is their 300 watt units, that's what they've got in them LED-wise, right? They're not necessarily going to be the same brightness because efficiency and LED quality and their efficacy, there's a lot of factors that can go into how bright an LED actually is. Sometimes manufacturers, just as an example, will take a similar quality LED and, one LED might be optimized for color quality, for really good white, really good natural colors. Another one might be optimized for brightness. It could be the same wattage, but considerably brighter, just kind of, stale or blue or funky looking, right? And we've all seen that with LEDs. When you try to get the most brightness out of them, they get blue and they get, they make people kind of ghostly and pale, things like that. So we want to be somewhere in the middle. First off, build quality. Let's take a look at it. So the Spectra, I would say, is built the plastics are just a little bit nicer. The Spectra has 5-pin DMX on it, which you can maybe see, probably can't see. It has 5-pin DMX on it. Actually, we'll come over here. Haha! It's got 5-pin DMX on it, and it is PowerCon True 1 compatible in and throughput, which I love. It's a good waterproof plug. Not that it's a waterproof fixture, but compared to the blue and white PowerCons with the 3-pin DMX on the TX-6, the biggest difference is that the plugs do cost a little bit more, but you can chain them together like a regular extension cord. So if you have two 10-foot extensions, you can turn it into a 20-foot extension instead of with the blue and gray style PowerCon where you're kind of stuck. You can get barrels to attach them together, but that just gets clunky, and usually people just go buy a longer cable. Physically, the quality of the plastics and everything on the Spectra is going to be a little bit nicer. Obviously, as you can see here, one of these fixtures is bigger than the other, right? Boom, the Spectra is going to be more compact than the TX-6. Weight-wise, they're in a pretty similar class, I believe. They're both fairly easily liftable. You can look up the specs. Of course, the TX weighs a little bit more. It's, being higher wattage, you're going to have a bigger power supply, all that jazz. It's a little longer, a little taller, little bit wider on the base too. In terms of this side of things, I like the LCD and the setup we've got going on the Spectra a little bit better. Volux does a really good job there. These buttons on the TX-6 are just a little bit cheaper. For most of our customers, this is going to be just fine. The LCD on this is good. It does have a touchscreen, I believe. Yeah, it has a touchscreen, which the Volux does not. The interface is actually a little nicer on the TX-6, but all in all, you know, they're fairly evenly matched in terms of build quality. So, we've got some haze in the room. I'm going to go ahead and kick off this secondary light. We're going to move them to the back, get them plugged into a console, and start controlling them so I can look at the brightness and share with you how these guys compare on the street, and then go a little deeper with the TX-6. Let's do it. All right, guys, so first things first, here we are in our studio lighting with the Volux Spectra 300 and the Gamma TX-6. And honestly, so the first thing I did here is just simply took them both to full. I actually have them on two different controllers because there's not a profile in Onyx yet for the TX-6, but there will be. And I fired them both up. I've pointed them equidistant, basically equally left and right of the camera, so it's a nice even shot there. As you can see, we've got them both at full, and we've taken the TX-6 and opened it up all the way. We've opened both of them up, got the zoom in the middle on the Spectra 300, and on the TX-6 we've matched that zoom angle very approximately, so it's about identical. And I'm kind of surprised at what I'm seeing. I'm surprised and not surprised. Okay, so what differences do we see between these two fixtures? And here's why it can be important to really look between two fixtures. So if I look at this on the camera, I'm looking at it on the screen right now, right? The Volux is a little bit of a higher color temperature, which makes it pop a little bit more. The Gamma, however, the TX-6, actually when I look at them, I think this is the best place for me to stand. The TX-6 is definitely a broader, a little bit fatter beam, because the aperture where it comes out at the lens is more, it's wider. Where the light comes out is wider. It fills that whole lens. It really projects a lot of light out of it. So I measured it, right? Grabbed my light meter. Next thing I did was I measured them. Equal zoom, equal intensity percentage, etc. And the Gamma is, they're both looking kind of a similar field to them, where they have a slight peak in the center. They're not completely flat from my eyes, at least. And the Gamma is about 15 to 20% ahead. Actually, if I do the math, it's closer to 20% brighter than the Spectra 300. And so that's something to be aware of. Zoom range between the two, very similar. So let's just look at some other stuff quick, just to kind of give us a better idea of how they compare. By the way, I also do have these sitting on a road case from Gator Cases. If you do need cases or bags or anything like that for your gear, we have recently become dealers for Gator, semi-recently, and they're just such a great company to work with. With road cases, shipping them is always so difficult because they're so expensive to ship, but Gator's really figured it out so that we're able to give you cases at a really reasonable price, and even if it's just a single case, we can still keep the shipping costs really reasonable, and that's one place they're winning for us. So if you need that kind of stuff, reach out. Go to LearnStageLightingGear.com. All the Gator cases ship free, which is nuts. They ship free from our site, but we're able to do that. We'd love to get you some. But let's go ahead and look at some colors on these. So we'll go ahead here, cyan, full cyan on the TX, full on the Spectra. Okay, so looking at the two, on the camera, again, the TX-6 is winning probably by about 20%. I'm going to go walk out here now, look at them from the complete other side of the room, and yeah, the beam from the TX-6 is brighter. It's a little bit broader. I probably do have it dialed in a little wider on accident, and it's definitely got a little bit more punch, probably 10 to 20% more punch as well. And so that's something to be aware of. Let's go ahead to magenta. Okay. Yep, same thing. Again, as you can see, the TX-6 beam is broader, brighter, filling more space through the air. Got a wider aperture, so it's a fatter beam. Looks really nice. Let's go ahead to yellow. So yellow, yellows are always interesting, especially in LED moving light. To my eyes, they're close, but the Gamma TX-6 is coming out just a little more orangey, which I kind of like a little bit softer of a yellow. Again, very similar though. All right, so like the Spectra's a little bit more greenish. You know, they're both good yellows. Let's go ahead and pop a Gobo in them. Why not? So here we've got the Spectra, some kind of Gobo. That's a reducer, that's a blocks. All right, here's one with 4 circles in the Spectra, and we'll focus it up real quick. Then we'll go to the TX-6 to the Gobos. Find something. Gotta focus it up. Okay, so this one is 5 dots on the TX-6, but probably about as close of a Gobo as we're gonna get between 2 fixtures. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's about the closest we're gonna get between the two. So again, step away, look at it from the other side of the room, just for you guys. So when it comes to Gobos, and this was something I noticed with the TX, is the Gobos do reduce it a fair amount. You'll notice, kind of all things being equal, the Gobo here in the Spectra is just a little bit fatter, but the circles are a little bit bigger too, so we're going to call them equal on that. Let me find a Gobo this time. We'll start on the TX side. Or my wireless to the Light Shark is dropping. That would be my problem. All right, so now we've got a Gobo that fills the space a lot better on the TX-6. It's kind of a pills Gobo that has a lot in it. We'll do the same here on the Spectra. Find something similar-ish. Yep, this one's a bunch of dots, kind of similar space-wise. Again, step away, look at them. Yeah, the TX-6 is definitely, you know, probably a good 20% brighter. And so let's take a look here, just look a little bit closer at just the TX-6 for the sake of comparison, because honestly, you know, the Spectra 300 has been like our winner, our favorite CMY moving spot for quite a long time. For kind of, you know, mid-level applications. And we've had customers say that, like in theatrical applications, it replaces the Source 4 really well. Like a 575 in white, but even in colors, the 750 it can beat out. And so the TX-6 is, from Gamma, is definitely giving us like a good 20% or even more intensity, because again, it's got that wider aperture. Of course, my connection to the Light Shark dropped. For some strange reason. So, you know, probably my computer. But let's look a little bit closer at the TX-6. So I'm going to step over here and just, you know, program away a little bit. So it has a lot of good things going for it. So it's got the colors, it's got the Gobos, they're all nice. Things that it has that kind of beat out the Volux fixture is the fact that we've got 2 prisms. So first, we have a nice little, I believe it's a 3-facet prism, makes it nice and wide. As you can see, that Gobo's really wide. It's going to cover a lot of space on the place that it's projecting, like the ceiling right now. You can see that in the haze, which is dissipating as we speak. There's not a lot of haze in the room, but it's poking through really nice. And the beautiful thing is then there is a linear prism, and you can stick them both in at the same time. So that's both of them. And then you can make them both rotate, which is super cool, right? Especially when they rotate opposite of each other. You end up being able to make some really cool textural things through the air, as you can probably see here. And if we move it, you know, you can see what that looks like on a surface. So you can see even on a surface that's very close, you know, we take that and let's just go ahead and mess with the focus a little bit. Be able to focus between the Gobos, the 2 prisms. It looks really nice on a surface. And let me actually go to our sidewall here, just to give you something a little bit better. You can see then, if we go back to David, whoop, that you're able to get just a really nice texture on that wall of that Gobo. Looks, you know, really nice movement, really nice animation, because you've got those dual prisms. Let's go ahead and just bop it down to a single prism again. We saw just prism 1, so let's see just prism 2 this time. All right, so prism 2, like I said, it is a linear prism. So when it rotates, it goes like that. It makes it wider. Looks really cool for through the air effects. Like if I go ahead and switch us out for a Gobo with more space in it, and then we go ahead and move it once again. you can see how through the air it makes a really nice projection, even though the haze is disappearing. And going ahead and making that work, it looks really nice through the air, makes a really nice impact. And so basically between the two, you know, there's a lot of features that are pretty identical between them. But the TX-6 definitely inches out ahead in a few areas, and that is, you know, the Gobos are, I think there's a few more Gobos in the TX, and the 2 Prisms, the brightness increase, which is something that, of course, you know, if you need it, you need it, right? And if you want something that's just a little bit brighter, a little bit more punchy, you don't mind it being not quite as compact, definitely take a look at the TX-6. It's a full CMY fixture. It's got a CTO, a variable CTO. It's got a color wheel. It's got all the features you expect in a moving head spot, but for a moving head spot with CMY, it's still incredibly well priced. It's a really great fixture. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying working with it here. And so if you want to see more from it or ask us any questions about it, just shoot us an email at Learning Stage Lighting Gear, hit our contact form, email us, add it to your cart, request a quote. We love to help. We love to compare and contrast. Yes, I mean, the Gamma is a little bit more expensive than the Volux fixture. They're both terrific values. They just, I think, have some different strengths to them. And so that's why I'm so glad we could do this really off-the-cuff review and just dive into it and go, okay, how are these different? How does it matter? And how does it affect you, right? Because ultimately that's what we do here at Learning Stage Lighting Gear from Above AVL. We help you find the best fit in gear for you, not for our commissions, not for us. We're gonna make money either way and build our business, but you know, we're not going to sell you something from one brand versus the other because we make more on it. No, we're going to find you what's best for you, get you that personalized price. And if that sounds good and resonates with you, head over to Learning Stage Lighting Gear or AboveAVL.com. And not only do we have lights, but we are continually adding more audio gear, some video gear, stuff like that. So we'd love to help you with any of that stuff. Please head over. We want to be your place that you use for life to get your gear. If we could do that, help us out, reach out to us. We'd love to help you meet your lighting goals. Thanks so much. Have a great day. See ya.